Grandpa Dave here. How you doing? I'll tell you what, I talked a little bit the last time about some adventures at a certain park, and I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about my adventures at Vaughn's Park. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit about some of my episodes at Vaughn's Park. Just kind of build up to it, though. Back in those days, we had this fence that went down the side of our house. There's a 2-rail picket fence kind of like thing. And it went down one side of the property and then the front yard and then down the field area. Well, I spent 243 million years painting that dang thing, and it was not my favorite thing is to paint that fence. I hated painting that fence. That fence was awful. Not to mention digging out posts, putting in posts, and well, anybody that's worked on fences, you know what I'm talking about. Well, up at Vaughn's Park, people would rent it, and they had the pavilion and a little. It was a big grill that they had there, a propane grill, and you went down a nice grassy area, and then come up with a little step, and then there was a one-holer. That's a toilet for those of you who don't know what that is. A little one-holer. But that was what it was then, and there'd be all kinds of parties there, and a lot of the university types would come up, and they would have one wow time up there. And we'd wake up the next morning and there'd be a hole in the fence. Somebody'd lose control coming down the road, they run into the fence and destroy the fence. And moi and my dad, we had to fix it and more fence to paint. And this one summer, I think it happened at least 3 times. And one time in particular was really interesting because we woke up to a car. Yeah, there was a car there. He'd hit the fence and abandoned the car. I think he was pretty snookered. Probably doesn't even know where his car was the next day. But you know, the sheriff's department come, and that was the first time that Dad actually got some money out of somebody to pay for the fence. But again, I had to help him fix it and paint it. Well, I got kind of tired of it. We spent a lot of time up there in that place, you know. That was a fun place to go and goof off. Lots of things you could do up there. Well, when you go into Vaughn's Park, there's the gate and a little parking area up there, and you come in through the gate, and there's a little road deal that comes in, and then the creek. Now that's another thing. I'll talk a little bit about why I talk the way I do. We'll cover that a little later. But the creek, I'd call it a creek, and it'd go down, and then there's a little walkway and little grass, lower level, and then the level with the pavilion, that little fire pit area, and the cooking place in the back. And then you go down, and then you go up the hill, and there's a little step above the hill, you know, maybe 10, 15 feet up. Little path, you'd go up there, and then there's a little one-holer. And just a little building, little teeny thing, about big enough probably 2 people could stand. And it was one of those places you really, 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 really needed to go use it because it had 243,000 spiders in it. And who knows, if you sat in it, you could have got bit, stung. I mean, there are all kinds of nasties in there. And it had a little pipe going up there for a vent. Well, anyway, then the hill went up higher, and it was bushes and trees everywhere. Over close to where the parties were, it was really thick. Well, us kids, we'd like to mess with people that are having parties. It was kind of fun. We kind of made it a sport. We had made little trails inside those bushes, and we knew how to get out. We had various escape routes set up, all kinds of stuff. And from all the drunks taking out our fence, I thought it was payback time, you know. I got a group of friends, you know, there's like 6 of us in the neighborhood. And these parties come on, and the game is to see how close you come to the party before you got caught. You know, they're sitting around the fire and they're having a hooting good time, laughing and dumping the suds down. That's beer for those that don't know. They're just dumping the brews down, and as the party goes on, they get a little bit louder, you know, and kind of thing. And then we just kind of like make noises and throw rocks at things, make teens and scare them. I mean, we had a couple times some of the girls were really scared. Kind of catcalling and yelling, and these drunks that come after you. Oh, I'm gonna come get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna beat your hairy bum. You know, they'd be laughing and running up and taking our little hiding spots and our little escape routes, trying to watch a bunch of drunk guys climb that hill. And it's a steep hill. Well, one of the things that we tried to do, and it was kind of my fault because it was my idea, was to see how close we could get to the food and maybe snitch a piece or two for ourselves. I got the closest, but never really got close enough to the food. Well, as time went on that summer, there was a lot of drunk parties there. I mean, man, this must have been the summer of alcohol. I'll tell you what. It was crazy. It was almost every weekend there was a drunk party. Well, the fruit had come on, and you know, the fruit on the trees and the fruit that fall on the ground was kind of soft and icky. My dad had given me a wrist rocket. It was a slingshot, and you'd pull back like this, and you could, I mean, that would, I'll tell you what, you could launch anything out of that thing, and you could make a real good mess out of somebody if you hit them. So we would sit up on the hill with this fruit, and we would bombard people down below. Now, of course, we'd wait till the party got loud, because that meant that they had sudsed themselves up enough that they were probably pretty toasted. And then we'd get them all angry, and then we'd laugh at them, and then they'd get all angry, and then get to watch the drunk people try to come up the hill. And you know, the thing about the hill there is it was all rocky. So it's not about step and step and step, because every step the rocks break down and come down. It was hilarious watching them. I mean, it was hilarious. We'd do that. Well, we'd save some fireworks and stuff, and we'd shoot some fireworks down there at them, just messing with them, just having a good time with just pulverizing them. And we got the idea, you know, this is pretty cool. We got these apples here. They're kind of rotten, you know. What would happen if you took an apple and you put a firecracker in it, and you just launched that apple up over their heads, and it'd explode, and maybe little pieces of rotten apple would come down on the crowd. It worked. That really ticked them off. There was one time they almost caught us. Yeah. But almost is not caught, and we got away. But yeah, those parties went on for some time, and eventually the fence repairs stopped. I don't know if the city had put a damper on something or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if they were college groups or who it was that was out there getting so toasted. And we tried to mess around with a couple church groups, but that wasn't any fun, because they knew who we were. So you have to be careful about those kinds of things, you know. So you go back to Vaughn's Park, you know, the monster days, you know. We'd imagine monsters everywhere. There was there was a big cement aquifer type thing, and it had these big cement. I mean, they were probably this wide, that thick. And I know my dad helped make them because he had the rights to the water from that. And we'd pry them out and we'd go climb in there. But we'd imagined that there was a big hairy monster that lived in there. And you got a guy pretty spooked about it, you know. At one time I went up there, and there was a storm coming through the valley. And I was just up there kind of like goofing off. I had my wrist rocket, and I just kind of goofing. I just kind of bored. And the rain started coming down. It was coming down pretty heavy. So I can either go home soaked, or I could go up here into this one holer and set it out, you know. I don't know. Well, it got really dark and really cloudy, and the wind was blowing, and the lightning, and I chose the one-holer. That was the longest storm of my life. I tell you what, that monster from that pit had climbed underground, and I think he was under the hole, because I think he got Scooby snacks out of the holer there, you know, from people prior. And I didn't want to become a monster Scooby snack. I just wanted, you know, be careful with that. Well, anyway, I got really nervous about that. But I didn't dare go out with lightning and the wind and everything. I just stuck in there for at least 20 minutes, I think. Seemed like years. Well, it finally lit up and I booked my way home. And I got thinking about it. You know, that pipe coming out of there, I assume it's a vent, but I thought maybe that's how they empty the toilet. You know, they just once or twice a year go in there and throw a bunch of wood in there and start on fire and burn all the poo-poo away. You know, a poo-poo fire. And I was thinking about that monster in there. Not to mention there was a hornet's nest or yellow jacket or something in there. And, you know, a real tush biter. So I had a couple friends and we decided to grab some matches and a little small thing of gas, and I dumped a bunch of wood in there, dumped the gas in there, and tossed the match in there. Whoa! Man, that was cool. Anyway, it's black smoke coming out of that pipe and out of the hole and out the door and everything else. That's one of those firebug ears things I probably should have talked about, but I kind of forgot about it until I was thinking about Pond's Park. Well, the fire was going pretty good, and, well, the seat was wood, and fortunately the seat didn't catch fire, thank heavens. But, you know, the floor was cement, well, you know how one-holer is. And we didn't know what to do. And I was a little scared about it. I thought, okay, now I really screwed up now, man. I'm going to get in trouble. I just burnt down the one-holer. But we ran home. We pretended we didn't know anything about it. A day or two went by, and I decided to go see what damage was done. I didn't hear any fire engines or anything like that. So I went down there and I opened the door. No damage, no nothing. I assume I killed the monster. For, you know, a little service to the people of Providence and those who have to use the one-holer. But yeah, that was a lot of stuff we did at Vaughn's Park. I mean, that was a fun place to goof off. Oh, we'd mess with the grill, do things to the grill, not very nice things, and laugh 2 or 3 days later when they're cooking something on it. You almost wanted to go and tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I can tell you what was on that grill. But, you know, rotten kids do rotten things, you know. I often wonder that I got to live to be this age. You know, I probably, if I was my own kid, I'd have killed me by now, you know. My dad had the patience of Job, I guess. But, you know, he didn't know about half of what I did, so that's probably why I'm still alive. We did that. That was a lot of fun. But, you know, and that wasn't the only distraction, you know. Back in those days, even back in the old house, the movie theater in town, there were 2 of them. There was the Utah, and there was the Capitol. Now, the Capitol was a really cool one to go to. I love going to the Capitol Theater because, you know, you go up a little ramp thing, and, you know, ticket guy, and they build all this gorgeous food stuff that I never could afford. I mean, they had this thing, it was like a shake, you get a little cup like that, and a little wooden spoon, and it was like 50 cents, and that was a heck of a lot of money. I didn't have 50 cents. Anyway, what it was is there would be the Saturday matinees, and there would be 2 movies you'd watch, and all you had to do is find a way to get over there. Sometimes we'd walk into Logan. Sometimes we'd get somebody, they'd drive us over as a group, and you could get in and see a movie for 1 can of food. So you'd pilfer your mom's cupboard, and I hated, you know, my dad loved cream corn. Something wrong in his wiring, but he liked cream corn. I hate cream corn. And I always brought cream corn with me because I figured if I could make it disappear, I wouldn't have to eat it. So we would go there and, you know, maybe get a dime or 2, you know, with us, whatever we could scrounge up from the car seats or under the couch or something like that. Maybe go and sell a couple bottles of, a couple empty bottles down at the store. You could get money. And you'd get a drink, maybe some popcorn, or that, if you were lucky, get that thing I told you about, you know, the malt or the sundae thing. And we'd go in and we'd sit down and we'd watch. And that's back when they had, people would come down and they had the flashlights, and they'd walk down with the flashlight, help people get to their seats. There's 2 movies going on, and one in particular was the Sword in the Stone or something like that. It was not a cartoon, it was a live action thing. And we got bored. Well, the bathrooms were on the 2nd level, so you would come back up into the main part where the eating thing was, and you'd go up this little ramp, an upper ramp, and then you can go to the bathrooms. They didn't watch what you were doing up in the bathroom, up in that area. They were all downstairs, you know, taking care of things and whatnot. And when you come out, there'd be this railing and a spot, I don't know, you know, like 8 feet by 3 feet, open down. You can see people down there. People sit down watching the movie and sit and look at them. You know, I'm kind of tempted to drop a little spit down there, but I never did that. No, I never did that. But what I did do is we would drop popcorn down, try to get, and then hide, you know, drop a little popcorn, hide, throw stuff at people. Well, we got kicked out once for doing that. Evidently, they frown on that. I don't know why. But that's just one of the things we did, you know, to keep ourselves busy for the summer, and whatnot. I like the summers. I like the summers a lot because generally speaking, down in the old house, that meant that everybody was home and there were things to do and whatnot. And, you know, little sister was just that little sister. She was still a little baby, and well, it's just nicer in the summer. But the thing I hated more than anything was when the fall came in and everybody went to school. That meant I was left alone with little baby sister. And I really liked my older sister. I really did. I liked it when she was around. I'm not talking, well, I'm not going to point fingers, but definitely not talking Attila. Attila was nice in some ways and scary in others. But I liked her, and I always looked forward to when she come home. And I was always intrigued. They'd come home with all these books in their arms and stuff like that. Well, I thought that was pretty cool. But, you know, the day came that it was my turn to go to school. And I think we'll make that the next episode. We'll call that School Days. Thanks for watching. Little wisdom for you. You know, I like statistics. Actually, I follow a lot of statistics, and I found one that I found really interesting. They found out years of scientific research that women that carry extra weight live longer than men that mention it. Isn't that amazing? Thanks for watching.